Given our conversations and given the conversation that Dr. Pearl is about to have with us musically, I thought of E.M. Forster's enigmatic admonition for most of the miseries of human existence. Only connect. The Arab-American poet Naomi Shihab Nye spends much of her poetry contemplating human connections, especially across cultures and disparate places. This is her poem, Shoulders. A man crosses the street in rain, stepping gently, looking 2 times north and south, because his son is asleep on his shoulder. No car must splash him. No car drive too near his shadow. This man carries the world's most sensitive cargo, but he's not marked. Nowhere does his jacket say, fragile, handle with care. His ears fill up with breathing. He hears the hum of a boy's dream deep inside him. We're not going to be able to live in this world if we're not willing to do what he's doing with one another. The road will only be wide. The rain will never stop falling.
Hi, welcome to segment 3 of our program on American creativity, ingenuity, and diversity. This is going to feature a great piece by the legendary Cole Porter, one of the most prolific contributors to the Great American Songbook. Cole Porter was a Midwesterner, as I mentioned at the very outset of this program, from Indiana. He went east to Yale to study, and he ended up being voted the most entertaining man at Yale. He wrote fight songs for Yale sports that are still used today. He wrote musical productions that focused on the sexual prowess of Yale men. Now we're talking about around 19 teens. He also had to deal with his own homosexuality. After college, he wrote a Broadway show that flopped, and he ended up migrating in the post-World War I era to Paris, where he married an American woman, Linda Thomas, and they had a publicly successful marriage, which helped him to climb the social ladder in a way that he never could have done it. He actually is famous for having been a horseback rider and having a terrible horseback riding accident, which ended his equestrian days, had multiple fractures and injuries to his legs, and developed osteomyelitis, eventually had to have amputation of one of his legs, and at that point became quite depressed. But anyway, he was just a prolific writer, and his tunes are all very popular. To me, one of the most insightful is his tune, What Is This Thing Called Love? Because he struggled with that concept his entire life. And if you listen to the piece, he asks the question and then he answers it. Listen to the kind of what we call the minor 2-5-1 progression in the first part, what we call the A part. What is this thing called love? And then when you get into the B part or the bridge, he kind of answers it with this big, wide explosion of sound. And I'll play that. Well, it turns out that the diversity in American music is such that others came along and imitated it and made different renditions of it. So there was a very, very famous at the time African-American pianist and composer named Tad Dameron, who may not be known to most folks, but he was called the Professor. He was one of the intellectuals. He was known to be a leading intellectual in American music, especially in the African-American community. And he took Cole Porter's piece, What Is This Thing Called Love? And that was written by Porter in 1929. In 1945, Tad Dameron came along and rewrote it as Hot House. And we won't really get into the title Hot House, but you can just imagine we're going from a tune about struggling with what is love to Hot House. Anyway, it's a classic in jazz, and I'd like to go ahead and demonstrate the evolution of the music from playing Cole Porter's piece, What Is This Thing Called Love, and then going into Tad Dameron's version of Hot House, which is his composition of the same piece, and then end up back with Cole Porter's What Is This Thing Called Love.